Okay, today I would like to speak something about cash flow statement. Okay, before going to see the cash flow statements, first of all, we see something about the technical terms related with this cash flow statement. Okay, so the first term regarding this cash flow statement is cash. What is cash? Cash comprises cash on hand. Cash on hand and demand deposit with bank. Demand deposit with bank means whatever cash you can take as and when necessity arises. That is called as demand deposit. So cash definition covers cash in hand, cash at bank, which you can receive as and when required. That is the first meaning of cash. Okay. And second term is cash equivalents. What are the cash equivalents? Cash equivalents are short term. These are the short term, highly liquid investments. Cash equivalents are the short term investments, highly liquid investments that are readily convertible into cash. Readily convertible into cash and which are subject to an insignificant risk. And these amounts are not having much risk of change in the value. This is the second aspect, cash equivalents. And third is cash flow. Cash flow means there are two flows. One is cash inflow, another is cash outflow. What is cash inflow and what is cash outflow? Cash inflow means it is the flow of cash within the organization, means receiving cash from outsiders. Whatever cash you receive from the outside sources, that is called as inflow of cash. Outflow of cash means giving cash to the outsiders. Giving cash to the outsiders from your organization. So inflow means you have to receive cash from the outsiders by making the sale or by making the services or rendering the services or one or any other reason. You receive the money, you take the loan or you take the advance from the others, like that. Whatever amount you receive, whatever cash you received or receives from the outsiders, that is called as inflow. And outflow means your payments. Whatever payments you make, all the payments are called as outflow of cash. You make payment whenever you purchase the fixed asset, and you make payment whenever you settle the account of your customers. You make payment for repayment of loan, like that. You make payment for expenses during the year. So whatever payments you make, all the payments are called as in outflow. So in cash flow, there are two. One is inflow, another is outflow. Inflow means flowing of cash to the towards the organization, and outflow means your cash, whatever cash with the business is there, that cash goes out. That is called as outflow of cash. So cash and cash equivalents. You may give cash or you may give the check also. Remember this, not only a cash, it is also connected with checks also. Cash equivalents. So these two words are very important. One is cash inflow, another is cash outflow. Okay. The next is the flow of cash are of three activities. Cash flow arises in three activities in our cash flow statement. Cash flow statement. Okay. The first is operating activity. Cash flow from operating activity is the first. Second is cash flow from financing activity. And third is cash flow from investing activity. So in the business, the flow of cash is classified into three heads. The main heads of the flow of cash are three. One is flow of cash in the operating activity, means day-to-day activity. There is a movement of cash in the day-to-day activity. And second movement of cash is related with financing activity. And third movement of cash is related with investing activity. Okay, there are three types of financial flow of cash. So out of them, first is operating activity. What is operating activity? This activity is connected with principal revenue producing activity. To produce the revenue, whatever inflow of cash is there or outflow of cash is there, that all cash is connected with operating activity of an enterprise. And other activities that are not investing or financing activity. Okay. And one more thing I would like to say that the activities are not relating to investment and financing. All the activities comes under the operating activity. Okay, other than investing and financial activity. And you remember, first is financial activity. This financial activity cash flow is ascertained with the help of reserve and surplus in your balance sheet. In your balance sheet, you have to consider the reserve and surplus head and the working capital. On the basis of working capital and reserve and surplus, we ascertain the cash flow from operating activity. Cash flow from operating activity. Cash flow from operating activity reserve and surplus head it adu working capital. You error base operating activity. ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಫಂಡ್ ಫ್ಲೋ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಫಂಡ್ಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ ಹೌದಾ? ಫಂಡ್ಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಏನ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ? ಸೇಮ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡಿ. ಅದೇ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ ದಿ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್. ಸೇಮ್ ವೇದಾಗ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ. ಫಂಡ್ ಫ್ಲೋ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನ್ ಜೋಡಿಸ್ರಿ? Working capital adjustment will birthday and here. So first activity is operating activity. There are three activities in the business related with your funds, related to cash. First is operating activity. Second is investing activity. What is investing activity? Investing activity is connected with the long-term assets. Remember this point very carefully. Investing activity is related with long-term asset means fixed assets, and non-current investment. Non-current investment. The second activity, investment activity, this is totally connected with only two head, only two items. One is fixed asset, another is non-current investment. Regarding these two items, you give importance for investing activity. Then how to calculate investing activity, cash inflow and outflow? Regarding fixed asset, you take the sale of asset, purchase of asset. One thing. Second thing is regarding investment, purchase of investment, sale of investment. Okay. So whatever sale of investment or sale of asset is there, that is called as inflow of cash. Inflow of cash. And whatever purchase of investment is there or purchase of fixed asset is there, that is called as outflow of cash. Outflow of cash. Inflow, outflow. And regarding these two, along with these two, you take another two items. Another two items. One is interest received, another is dividend received on investment. This is very simple. Regarding investment activity, very simple. Inflow of cash is connected with sale of fixed assets, sale of investment, dividend received, interest received. Four items are covered under inflow of investing activity. And outflow of cash is connected with this are purchase of fixed asset and purchase of investment. Clear? So investment activity completes. Investment activity ಒಳಗೆ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಏನು ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿಲ್ಲ. ಏನಂತ ತಗೋರಿ? ಸೇಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಅಸೆಟ್, ಸೇಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಡಿವಿಡೆಂಡ್ ರಿಸೀವ್ಡ್, ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ರಿಸೀವ್ಡ್ ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ. ಇಷ್ಟು 4 ಐಟಮ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೋ ಮುಗಿತೈತಿ. ಇದ್ರ ಮೈನಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ ಔಟ್ಫ್ಲೋ. ಔಟ್ಫ್ಲೋ ಯಾವ್ದಂದ್ರೆ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಅಸೆಟ್, ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಇವೆರಡು ಕಳೀರಿ, ಟೋಟಲ್ 6 ಐಟಮ್ ಇದಾವೆ. ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿಯಿಂದ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಫ್ಲೋ ಸಿಗ್ತದ. ಓಕೆ, ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಫ್ಲೋ ಬರ್ತದ. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ದೆನ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದೀನಿ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಯಾವುದು? ಆಪರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ. ಆಪರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ನೀವು ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಯಾವುದು? ಫಂಡ್ ಫ್ಲೋದಾಗ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ ಆ ರೀತಿ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವ್ದೋ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಷ್ಟು ಮಾಡಿದ. ಆಪರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ, ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ. Third is financing activity. What is financing activity? Financing activity is connected with owner's capital and outsiders borrowed capital. It is totally related with capital. Financing activity is connected with capital. That capital may be owned capital or borrowed capital. Okay. So regarding this point, you remember only 2 points. Only 2 points. One is share capital head. One is share capital. Another is non-current liability. Non-current liability. On the basis of these two aspects, you calculate the financing activity cash flow. Cash flow from financing activity is to be ascertained on the basis of share capital. Another is non-current liability. On the basis of these two aspects, you have to ascertain the financing activity cash flow. So I say that financing activities are activities that results in change in the size and composition of owner's capital. Size and composition of owner's capital. Composition means equity, preference, and no parcels, like that composition. The composition of share capital may be of owned capital, borrowed capital. Okay, so it includes preference shares, capital, equity, and also borrowed capital. Borrowed capital. So ಇದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಹೇಳೋದ್ರ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳ್ರಿ. ಶೇರ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಮತ್ತು ಲಾಂಗ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಲೋನ್ಸ್ 2 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊ. 2 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಬೇಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಬರ್ತೈತಿ. ಇನ್ನಿದ್ರ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು? Whenever you issue the share and you take the loan, long-term loan, ಇದು ಹೇಳಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಫೈನಾನ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಸಂಬಂಧ ಬರೋದು ಯಾವ್ದು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರ ಶೇರ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಒಂದ, ಎರಡನೇದು ಯಾವ್ದು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರ ನಾನ್ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ. ನಾನ್ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿಗಳು ಬರ್ತಾವ. ಡಿವೆಂಚರ್ ಬರ್ಬೋದು, ಲಾಂಗ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಲೋನ್ ಬರ್ಬೋದು, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಸಂಬಂಧ ಬರ್ತದೆ. ಇವ್ 2 ಐಟಮ್ ಮೇಲೆ ತಗೋಬೇಕು. ಇನ್ನಿಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೋ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಯಾವ್ದಾ, ಔಟ್ಫ್ಲೋ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಯಾವ್ದಾ? If you issue the share, cash comes. Issue of share, issue of debenture, loan taken. This is the inflow of cash. 3 item ನೆನ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಒಟ್ಟ ಯಾವ್ದಾ? Issue of share, issue of debenture, loan taken. ಲೋನ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಲೋನ್ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ inflow of cash. Outflow of cash ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವುದು? Redemption of share, redemption of debenture, dividend paid, interest paid. ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಶೇರ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿವಿಡೆಂಡ್ ಕೊಟ್ರಿ ಅಂದ್ರ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಡಿವಿಡೆಂಡ್ ಬರ್ತೈತಿ. ಲೋನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಪೇಡ್ ಬರ್ತೈತಿ. ಇಷ್ಟ ಐಟಮ್ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೀವು ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ದಿಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಫ್ಲೋ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಈಸಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಒನ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ 3 ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್. 3 ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಇದಾವ. 3 ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ. ಯಾವುದು? ಆಪರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿಯನ್ನ ನಾ ಈ ಟೇಬಲ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಅದ್ರ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ. ಆಪರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಒಳಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ಏನಲ್ಲ, ಫಂಡ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಅದಕ್ಕ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಷ್ಟ. ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಒಳಗೆ ಯಾವ್ದು ತಗೋರಿ? ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಅಸೆಟ್, ನಾನ್ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಅದನ್ನ ಹಾಕ್ಬೇಕು. ಫೈನಾನ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಒಳಗೆ ಯಾವ್ದು ಬರ್ತೈತಿದ್ರ ಶೇರ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಯಾವ್ದು ನಾನ್ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ. ಇವನ್ ಇಷ್ಟು ತಗೊಂಡು ನೀವು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು? ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬೇಕು. ಓಕೆ, next is the examples of cash flow from operating activity. Operating activity ಒಳಗೆ ಯಾವ examples ಬರ್ತಾವು? These are the following important examples connected with cash flow from operating activity. You see all these examples. Okay, I will not go for explaining all these examples. You go through these examples and note down these examples. And next, I would like to explain the cash flow statement. cash flow statement, particular amount you like this, you prepare the cash flow statement and write the heading properly. You write a proper heading for the cash flow statement for the year ending like that, and you write the name of the proprietor or the owner. Then first head is operating activity. First you have to calculate the cash flow from operating activity. Operating activity in the cash calculate madಬೇಕು. Hinge calculate ಮಾಡ್ರಿ. First you take the closing profit as you studied in the fund flow statement. You take the cash, closing profit as per your balance sheet. Closing profit as per balance sheet. Add non-operating and non-cash expenses as you already studied. ಈಗ ಹಿಂದೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದರ ಸೇಮ್. Non-operating and non-cash items na ballast version. Preliminary expenses written off, dividend, interim dividend paid, then goodwill written off, depreciation charge, then provision for income tax. Like that, so many items I given in the fund flow statement. Same items you take. Non-operating and non-cash expenses you write. I have taken only 2 examples. Okay, loss on sale of asset, depreciation, only 2 I have taken here, but you have to consider all those items you covered in fund flow statement. Fund flow statement da na ಎಷ್ಟು ಬರ್ಸಿನಿ ಅವನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ತಗೋಬೇಕಿಲ್ಲ. ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಮತ್ತೆ ಎರಡ ಬರ್ಸಿನವರು ಎರಡಲ್ಲ. Total ಮಾಡ್ರಿ, non-operating and non-cash expenses you add. Thereafter you deduct non-operating and non-cash incomes. Non-operating incomes are non-operating incomes are non-cash incomes are less madri. Sorry, it is profit on sale of asset. Profit on sale of asset togori, inner column togori. Dividend received, interest received. Okay, profit on sale of asset our non-operating incomes ಅಥವಾ non cash incomes ಇದ್ದು ಅಂದ್ರ ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ಬರೀರಿ. ಹಿಂದೇನ್ ಮಾಡಿದಿರಿ ಅವ ಫಂಡ್ ಫ್ಲೋ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ಸೇಮ್. ನಾ ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳಕತ್ತೀನಿ. Okay, you take all those, then you take the opening profit, opening balance of profit means last year closing balance. Last year closing balance you take here. This is the statement I explained in detail in the fund flow statement. Fund flow statement in the detail I ಹೇಳಿದೆನಲ್ಲ. ಈ statement ಹಾಕ್ರಿ. You take the total. Whatever profit comes, this is called as operating profit before working capital adjustment. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ನೀವು ಮಾಡಿದಿರಿ, ಇದ್ರಾಗ ಏನು ಡೌಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. Operating profit before working capital adjustment ಆಗ್ತದೆ. Then for this you add 2 items. If there is an increase in liability, current liability. If there is increase in current liability, you take all the increase in the current liability, increase amount only, not the full amount. You compare the previous year and current year. If there is any increase in the current liability, for example, creditors, bills payable, outstanding expense, okay, advance incomes, like that. If there are any increase in the current liability, you take the increased amount of current liability. ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಹೆಸರಾಗ creditor rate ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗೈತಿ, bills payable rate ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗೈತಿ, ರೇಟೆಡ್ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿದೆ, ಹೆಚ್ಚಾದ ಮಾತ್ರ ಬರೀ. After that you write decrease in current asset. If there is a decrease in the current asset, it may be stock, debtors, bills receivable, then the outstanding incomes, prepaid expenses, ಅಂತೂ ಯಾವ ಇದಾವಲ್ಲ. ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಅಸೆಟ್ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗಿದ್ದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆದ ಐಟಮ್ ಯಾವ್ದೈತೆ ಅದ್ರ ಹೆಸರು ಹಾಕ್ರಿ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗಿದ್ದು ಬರ್ರಿ. ಎನಿ ಡೌಟ್? ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಇನ್ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ, ಡಿಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಇನ್ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಅಸೆಟ್ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ನೋಡಿ ತಗೋಬೇಕು. ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆದ್ರೆ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆದ್ರೂ ತಗೋರಿ, ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಅಸೆಟ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆದ್ರೂ ತಗೋರಿ, ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾದ್ರೂ ತಗೋರಿ. You take the total to the outer column. Then next you take the less heading. In the less heading you take increase in current asset. Current asset ದಾಗ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿತ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬರೀ increase in current asset, then decrease in current liability. ಮ್ಯಾಲೆ ಯಾವ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತನಾಗ increase in current liability, decrease in current asset ತಗೊಂಡೆ. ಲೆಸ್ ಯಾವ್ದು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರ if current liability value decreased, you take in the less heading. If the current asset increased, you take in the less heading. ಅವು ಯಾವ್ದು ಐಟಮ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ತಗೊಂಡು ಬರ್ರಿ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ. Then you deduct the total. Okay, you deduct the total, balance comes. After that, you have to adjust the income tax. Income tax paid is to be deducted. Income tax paid itna deduct ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, provision for income tax account ಹಾಕಿ. Provision for income tax account ಹಾಕಿ provision ಮ್ಯಾಲ್ ಬಂದಿರ್ತೈತಿ. Provision for income tax ಮ್ಯಾಲ್ ಬಂದಿರ್ತೈತಿ. ಕೆಳಗೆ ಯಾವ ತಗೋರಿ income tax paid ತಗೋಬೇಕು. ಲೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ, income tax paid ಇದ್ರೆ ಲೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ. You deduct the income tax paid. If there is a refund of income tax, you add. Income tax refund ಆಗಿತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ add ಮಾಡ್ರಿ. Income tax paid ಇತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ಲೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ. Okay, ಬರ್ರಿ add or less. Then whatever amount comes, that amount is called as inflow of cash from operating activity. Inflow of cash, inflow from operating activity. Remember here, if the answer is positive, that is called as inflow. ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಟುಕೋರಿ, ನಾ ಹೇಳೋದು ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಬಂದಿತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಂದ್ರು, ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಳ್ಕೋದ್ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಬಂದ ನಂತರ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಇತ್ತಂದ್ರ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೋ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಅಂತ ಬರಿಬೇಕು. ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಟುಕೊಡ್ರಿ, ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೋ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಅಂತ ಬರೀರಿ. ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೋ ಇತ್ತಂದ್ರ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನತ್ರಿ, ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಇರ್ತತಿ, ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಸೈನ್ ಕೊಡ್ರಿ. ಔಟ್ಫ್ಲೋಕ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಮೈನಸ್ ಸೈನ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಇದು ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೋ ಐತಿ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಪರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ನಾನು ಔಟರ್ ಕಾಲಮ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬರ್ದಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಹಾಕಿದೀನಿ. ಈ ರೀತಿ ಆಪರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ. Operating activity. Thereafter, you have to calculate financial activity. ಇದನ್ನ ಟೇಬಲ್ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ. ನಾ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಮುಗಿದೈತೆ ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಟೇಬಲ್ ಹಾಕಿನಿ. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಇಸ್ ಫೈನಾನ್ಸಿಯಲ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ. Financing activity. In the financing activity, you have to consider share capital and long-term borrowings. That is non-current liability. Share capital ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಯಾವುದು, ನಾನ್ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ. ಈ ಎರಡು ಹೆಡ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ತಗೋ. ಸೊ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಆಫ್ ಸೇಲ್ಸ್, issue of debenture, loan raised. These are the three items of inflow. If you issue the share, cash comes. If you issue the debenture, cash comes. If you raise the loan from outsider, cash comes. So it is a inflow. Okay, inflow. You take the total of inflow. In the total inflow, you deduct the cash outflows, less cash outflow. What are the outflow when cash goes out? Less cash outflow. First is redemption of shares. If you redeem the preferences, cash goes out. Redemption of debenture redeem madrum cash ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ. Repayment of loan ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗಿತ್ತಂದ್ರ ಇವ್ನ ಹೆಂಗ್ ತಿಳ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಶೇರ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿತ್ತಂದ್ರ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಆಗಿರ್ತೈತಿ, ಶೇರ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆದ್ರ ರಿಡಂಪ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತೈತಿ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಎಲ್ಲಾನು ಇವ್ ಐಟಮ್ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿದ್ದು ಏನಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ರಿ, ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೋ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಇಶ್ಯೂದಾಗ. ಈಗ ಲೋನ್ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಬಂದಿರ್ತೈತಿ. ಲೋನ್ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗಿತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿತ್ತು. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಯು ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್. ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಔಟ್ಫ್ಲೋದಾಗ ಯಾವ್ದು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರ ರಿಡಂಪ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಶೇರ್ಸ್, ರಿಡಂಪ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಡಿಬೆಂಚರ್, ರೀಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಲೋನ್. ಇವು ಮೂರಲ್ದ ಇನ್ಯಾವ್ದು ಬರ್ತಾವ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರ ಡಿವಿಡೆಂಡ್ ಪೇಡ್, dividend on equity shares or preference share. Total dividend paid during the year is the amount related with financing activity. ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಎದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿವಿಡೆಂಡ್, ಮ್ಯಾಲಿನ ಶೇರ್ ಅವಲ್ಲ, ಶೇರ್ಗಳ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿವಿಡೆಂಡ್ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ ಅಂದ್ರ. Then interest paid on debentures or long term loan. Interest paid on long term loan. ಇಷ್ಟ ಐಟಮ್ ಅನ್ನ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ, ಲೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ. ಇದು ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ. ಈ ತರ ಏನ್ ಬೇರೆ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ. ಒಂದು ಶೇರ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಐತಿ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಯಾವ್ದೈತಿ non-current liability ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲಿಂದ ಡಿವಿಡೆಂಡ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇಷ್ಟು ತಗೊಳ್ರಿ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೋ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ ಕಡೆ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಬರ್ತೈತಿ ಔಟ್ಫ್ಲೋ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೈತಿ ಸೊ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೋ ಯು ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಔಟ್ಫ್ಲೋ ಇಫ್ ದಿ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಬಂತಂದ್ರ ಕಳೆದ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಬಂತಂದ್ರ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೋ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರ ಮೈನಸ್ ಬಂತಂದ್ರ ಔಟ್ಫ್ಲೋ ಬರ್ರಿ ಇಫ್ ಯುವರ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಇಸ್ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೋ ಇಫ್ ದಿ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೈನಸ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ outflow. Cash inflow or outflow from financing activity. Na eradu barden inflow or outflow barden. Inflow yavag baribeku idu answer plus ittandra answer minus ittandra outflow barri answer sign minus kodbeku sariyagi nenaptu minus sign kodu clear idu amount dandige tagondogri ಎರಡನೇ amount ಸಿಗ್ತೈತಿ second activity financing activity. Now come to the third activity, that is investing activity. This investing activity is connected with fixed asset, then long-term investment, non-current investment. Erada items samajhavadu. Illi baro erada bartav. Ondu fixed asset, innondu yavada non-current investment. Here you have to take sale of fixed asset, sale of fixed asset, sale of investment, okay, dividend received, interest received. These are the inflow of cash. ನಿಮಗೆ ರೊಕ್ಕ ಬರ್ತೈತಿ ಯಾವಾಗ ಬರ್ತೈತಿ ಅಂದ್ರ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಅಸೆಟ್ ಮಾರಿದ್ರೆ ಬರ್ತೈತಿ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸೇಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಬರ್ತೈತಿ ಡಿವಿಡೆಂಡ್ ಬರ್ತೈತಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿವಿಡೆಂಡ್ ಬರ್ತೈತಿ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಡಿವಿಡೆಂಡ್ ಆನ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನೀವು ಶೇರ್ದಾಗ ರೊಕ್ಕ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರಿ ಅಂದ್ರ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಇನ್ ದಿ ಶೇರ್ಸ್ ಇಫ್ ಯುವರ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ ಶೇರ್ಸ್ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ರಿಸೀವ್ ದಿ ಡಿವಿಡೆಂಡ್ ದಟ್ ಡಿವಿಡೆಂಡ್ ಯು ಟೇಕ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಇವ್ರ ಮೇಲಿಂದ ಡಿವಿಡೆಂಡ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ರಿಸೀವ್ಡ್ ಎದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಬಡ್ಡಿ ಬರ್ತೈತಿ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬಂದಿರ್ತೈತಿ ಇಫ್ ಯು ರಿಸೀವ್ಡ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆನ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಯು ಟೇಕ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ರಿಸೀವ್ಡ್ ಡಿವಿಡೆಂಡ್ ರಿಸೀವ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಬರ್ತಾವು ಡಿವಿಡೆಂಡ್ ಪೇಡ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಪೇಡ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಾವು ಫೈನಾನ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಒಳಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾವು ಸರಿ ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೋ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಯು ಟೇಕ್ ದಿ ಟೋಟಲ್ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೋ ಇಷ್ಟು ರೊಕ್ಕ ಬಂತು then you deduct cash outflow. Cash outflow yavandu kedra purchase of fixed asset. If you purchase the fixed asset you have to pay amount. If you purchase the investment you have to pay amount. Erada bartave payment golu erada bartave sambandh pattadu one purchase of fixed asset idan ನೀವು ಬೇಕಾದ ಖರೀದಿ ಮಾಡು you purchase of land, purchase of building, purchase of machinery, purchase of equipment, purchase of furniture, like that all purchase of fixed asset ನೀವು item ಬರಿಬಹುದು purchase of investment iverada barri total madri then out of inflow you deduct outflow if your answer is plus this is called as inflow if your answer is minus that is outflow plus banittu inflow barri minus banittu outflow barri sign matra outer kadne kodu sari nenipittuko okay clear then you take the total of 3 ಮೂರನ್ನು ಕೂಡಿಸ್ರಿ you take the total of 3 that is cash flow from operating activity, cash flow from financing activity, cash flow from investing activity. You take the total of the 3, this total is called as net inflow or outflow. Net inflow or outflow. If minus bandittu net outflow agtati plus bandittu net inflow agtati. Net inflow, net outflow. Barri yav barati minus bandra outflow anri plus banittu inflow anri. In this amount you add opening balance of cash and cash equivalent. Nim balance sheet again. Opening balance andra last year closing balance. Kursri, if you add this opening balance, whatever total comes, that total is the closing balance of cash and cash equivalent. Iden answer bartati ee answer edak tally irbeku nim cash and cash equivalent sari irbeku sari aglilla ನೀವು ಎಲ್ಲೋ ತಪ್ಪಿದ್ದೀರಿ ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊ theta. This is the simple theory part connected with cash flow statement and you make confirm with this items and go through the book also and this is the simple theory regarding cash flow statement. And in the next class, I will take some examples based on this cash flow statement.